Welcome back to Outside the Beltway. I'm John Fredericks, and I'm your blowtorch of free speech in America. Dr. Peter McCullough is next. Mike Lindell just had a great symposium, 2 days in Missouri. He's done a great job. Guys, put his money where his mouth is. Everything that he has done is to help us get rid of these machines so we can get to an honest vote count in America. This 2 days was action-packed. He funded it. This is a great patriot and a great American. He's getting screwed 3 ways to Wednesday. His company's at risk. I ask you, everyone, go to mypillow.com/Godzilla. Put in promo code Godzilla. You can find something on there. He's got great products. If you got a son or daughter going to college or just went, get him the mattress topper, right? I mean, Joe's going to have that when he goes. We just got it from at home. You can get it. They're very inexpensive for a single bed. You want to get the sheets, the towels. Outfit your kids going to college. Right, all this stuff. They got the towels, they got the slippers, they got the sandals to go into the shower. You've all lived in a dorm. Those of you that went to college, you know how awful it is. You know how uncomfortable those beds are. We've all been there. Get them the mattress topper. They're going to sleep like a baby. Their grades are guaranteed to go up. Go to mypillow.com/Godzilla. Promo code Godzilla. Do it today. You can help out Mike Lindell. You can help out your students, and you can help out us. So we really, really appreciate your support, because without you, I wouldn't be here. So thank you. Joining us now is Dr. Peter McCullough. Dr. McCullough, thank you for being with us. I wanted you on today. The CDC quietly changed their website on August 11th, and Director Rochelle Walensky has made statements about the needed reform at the CDC. What led them to do this, and what are the changes, Dr. McCullough, that you would recommend, sir?
Well, thanks for having me. The CDC has come out now. Rochelle Walensky has come out and said they've made large public mistakes without enumerating what they are. So many have provided commentary. They've also changed some information on the website, some disturbing information about how long the COVID-19 vaccines stay in the body. It's now known in a paper from Stanford by Holtgen and colleagues, the messenger RNA is stuck in lymph nodes at least a couple months, and that's as long as they've looked. The spike protein that's produced from the genetic material stays in the body for over a year, as shown by the work by Bruce Patterson at Incell DX. So we know that the CDC has been running behind on information. This is important because this is the first vaccine, if you will, that has long-acting effects in the body. And we're worried about both the genetic material and the spike protein lasting in the body a long time because they produce the side effects. And we know that the immunity from the vaccine is very short-acting, about 6 months or less. They haven't kept up with the changes in the virus. Now there'll be bivalent vaccines in the fall. But by that time, the BA.5 outbreak is probably over with. So the reforms at the CDC that we can see right now is a complete changeover of leadership, moving out all of the current and present leadership. They are accountable for the disasters that happen, and then having external oversight on every aspect of what they do, contagion control, having external panels for early treatment, late treatment, and vaccination, and they need strict accountability to the Senate and the Congress.
You know, Dr. McCullough, maybe they're going to get that if the Republicans take over and have a big win, but there's no level of accountability going on for all the lies that they put out right now. But now that the CDC has changed their position on vax immunity and natural immunity, which we were an advocate of from the beginning, how is this going to impact those who are mandated to get the jab or lose their job or lose their status or not being able to travel or not be able to go to school or whatever it is that they did that caused people irreparable harm?
The large employers and schools that still have mandates all cite the CDC. And they say the reason why we're having mandates is because of what the CDC says. Now the CDC says that someone who's taken a vaccine or not taken a vaccine, they're indistinguishable from one another. And the only reason to have a vaccine mandate would be to improve the public health of the school or the workplace. The mandates are not for individual health, since the vaccines have side effects, including fatal side effects. So the recent CDC change in position on the ineffectiveness of the vaccines should really be a signal to all the large employers, schools, the military, to drop the vaccine mandates immediately. In fact, I think the vaccine should be pulled off the market, and we do an analysis on what went wrong.
Well, they're never going to do that because then they would have to admit they were wrong. Also, I've said this before, I believe when it's all said and done, Dr. McCullough, this is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the Republic. The lawsuits that are going to be coming down the pike, this thing was rushed to market. They lied to us. They never presented the actual information. It was covered up. The fake news media, big tech, they're all complicit in this. And as more and more facts come out, I told you this the other day. I mean, I've talked to friends of mine that went to the hospital with various problems, and the RNs there are calling it the Pfizer clot. I mean, there's just so many things here that we haven't been told. We've been lied to consistently on this vax. A lot of people took it under false pretenses or were forced into it or were cajoled into it or thought it was the right thing to do, and we never got the information. I want you to review the false claims of the COVID mass vaccination program and the ongoing concerns we should have about the CDC's messaging in the fall.
If the CDC would have just stuck with a simple statement that the vaccines are new, we don't know if they're going to work or not, or they could be offered for high risk or senior citizens, and it was completely optional. If they would have stuck with that, which is really what the statement was in December of 2020, January 2021, we would have been fine. But instead, there was a series of false claims that were put out. The first one was that the vaccines stopped the infection cold. And you remember President Biden saying that, and Rachel Maddow, one of the media hosts on the evening TV, saying that, it stops it cold in its tracks. Well, quickly in 2021, thousands of Americans were being hospitalized and dying fully vaccinated. So that claim went down. The second claim was that the vaccine stopped transmission, that once you take a vaccine, you couldn't give it to anybody else. Well, Rochelle Walensky had to come out on TV and tell them, listen, that isn't right. We have scores of studies showing that the fully vaccinated transmitted to one another. In fact, the failure of transmission should have been a signal last summer to never have mandates. And then the third false claim is that the vaccines make the syndrome milder, that it's somehow, even if it fails at the first two, it's milder. And that's not the case at all. There are no randomized trials with hospitalization and death as a primary endpoint where the vaccines have influenced that. No secondary analysis from randomized trials, and any observational studies that make that claim, in my view, are invalid. And recently in JAMA, there's a paper by Young and colleagues that shows even the perception of being sick with COVID-19 is completely uninfluenced by whether or not you've had 1, 2, 3, or 4 vaccines. So I can tell you the vaccines have no impact. I anticipate a fourth claim, John. The fourth claim is going to be this fall that the new vaccines prevent COVID from coming back, that the rates will be down low, and you have to take it like a polio shot. And I can tell you that will be a completely false claim because the new vaccines were approved just on antibody changes. They weren't even approved on clinical outcomes. And so now we have actually no regulatory support for any more vaccination.
Why are they doing this? Money?
We know that there are clearly people who are predators, entities that are profiting. And we know there's been a shift of power to the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, Gates Foundation, Gavi, the Chinese Communist Party, EcoHealth Alliance, CDC, NIH, FDA. They've all actually increased either their financial status or their power. The recipients of the money have been the suppliers, the big pharmaceutical manufacturers of the vaccines. But keep in mind that vaccine manufacturers haven't had to have any sales force, no direct advertising. The government's doing all the work for them. And it can't just be the U.S. manufacturers, because we know that there are ex-U.S. manufacturers doing this outside the United States and profiting greatly. I can tell you as a doctor, I don't know the underlying goal right now, but we're seeing mass loss of life, injuries, disabilities, and it's got to stop.
The FDA's complicity in this.
The FDA is not only complicit, they're trying to cover up the most giant safety issue of our time. When Pfizer had to release their dossier under court order, Pfizer knew about 1,223 deaths within 90 days of release of their product. The FDA, the lawyer for the FDA, did not want to release those documents to America for 55 years. So that's prima facie evidence that the FDA is actively involved in a cover-up. And one of my concerns is the recent CDC statements is really a form of interagency scapegoating, that the CDC will be the scapegoat as the FDA still allows the vaccines to be on the market. They're grossly unsafe. And now the vaccines have actually taken down any efficacy requirements, and the vaccines are being approved just on antibody changes after taking them, which are an inadequate surrogate for clinical outcomes.
You know, it's really unbelievable what the federal government and its corresponding agencies has dumped on the American electorate. It's the just American public, I should say, Dr. McCullough. It's almost as if the American public became the clinical trial, and the amount of money that was being made. And then when they were running out and people stopped, taking them, then they turned to children to make more money. And of course, all that money, and I don't want to get political here, but you got to follow the money. All this money is going back to Democratic. The reason why they're raising all this money is it's all going right back to them, as that's basically their stalking horse. It's unbelievable. It's all going to come out, Dr. McCullough. You've been a man of unbelievable courage under fire. Read his book, Courage to Face COVID-19. You can go to CourageToFaceCovid19.com. Courage to Face COVID-19. Dr. McCullough, you're an American hero. Up next, Anthony Sabatini.